fantastic synergy potential out of this transaction. We're taking the number 3 and the number 2 market players and we're putting them together. It will make Speed Fibre more efficient, way more competitive, and more able to roll out innovative solutions for customers going forwards, at an attractive price.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. Joining me in the studio today are Cordiant Digital Infrastructure Managing Director David Kippen, as well as Speed Fibre CEO Peter McCarthy. Thank you both very much for coming in. So, David, let me start with you. Tell us a bit about Speed Fibre Group and its relationship to Cordiant.
Well, Cordiant is a listed investment trust on the London Stock Exchange, expressly geared for investments in digital infrastructure in Europe and North America. We own assets in the data center field, towers, and fiber optics. We've been building the portfolio of cash flowing assets for the last 4 years now. Our investment strategy is to buy, build, and grow. And we now have assets in each of those categories. Speed Fibre was our first and largest investment to date in the fiber optic, wholesale and retail fiber optic space. We went into Ireland in 2023 and acquired Speed Fibre because it had several key characteristics for us. One was reliable cash flows emanating from long-term contracts with blue chip customers. 2, a platform on which we could invest and grow strategically in a really attractive market. And 3, superb management with a vision and technical abilities and skills to be able to push forward the investment thesis.
Well, let's bring that superb management into the discussion now. Peter, tell us about Speed Fibre and what you do.
So Speed Fibre Group, telecommunications operator in Ireland, 2 main subsidiaries, Enet, which is a wholesale operator. We're also a concession manager. And over time, we've built quite a big network nationally in Ireland. We also have a retail B2B business called Magnet Plus, and that is a pure connectivity business supplier to businesses in Ireland. We'd have about 7,000 customers at this point in time. Unusually, in the early days of that business starting up, it actually built fibre to the premises network, reaching into 11,000 homes at the time. So we still have a small customer base there on the residential side, but it's mostly focused on the B2B side. Enet, as the wholesaler, is the number 2 operator in Ireland. We have really focused in the last 6 years on customer service and built up a niche in the market of customer service. But the Enet brand and the Magnet Plus brand have really grown in the marketplace, and they're extremely well known today.
And tell us what makes Ireland's fibre sector such an exciting market to operate in, Peter.
Ireland has always been ahead of the curve in terms of digital advancement and development. We've got some of the biggest multinational companies headquartered in Ireland. All of the hyperscalers have a huge presence in Ireland. We have built and developed a huge amount of data centres to the point where we've kind of almost run out of power availability. Certainly in the Dublin area, so any future data centres now will probably be built more nationally. We've got one of the fastest growing fibre to the premises networks in Europe. So the rollout of the National Broadband Plan was originally designed around the Enet network, so we have been fully supporting that rollout nationally.
What makes Ireland's fibre sector such an exciting market to operate in?
Well, just coming back to Peter's point earlier, let's just take a step back and look at where Ireland has come from and where Ireland is going. Cordiant, as a fund, is an investor in Europe's 3 largest or 3 highest GDP per capita growth economies in the last 20 years, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Ireland. Ireland went from being one of the lower GDP per capita economies in Europe 30, 40 years ago to now one of the highest in the world by dint of its position in the EU, its smart public policy, and its embrace of data-intensive digital industries, that being pharmaceuticals, financial services, IT, technology, etc. So the economy and the GDP is very reliant on these digital industries. We see the growth patterns that have occurred to date continuing for the next 10 to 20 years, and therefore a fantastic opportunity for Cordiant's investment strategy, which is to buy existing management teams with cash flowing assets and then build strategically to support GDP growth, economic growth, customer growth. So it really ticks all the boxes for us.
I mean, how do you see it, Peter? How do you see that economy supporting growth in the fibre market?
What we've seen, as I said, is massive investment in Ireland, not just in the technology sector, but in the pharmaceutical sector. AI is driving way more capacity requirements in Ireland, even in the pharmaceutical sector, because the files are bigger, they're all coming back to a central location. So the information flow is just growing exponentially by the day. What we've built in Ireland, which is really important, is, with the MAN network, we've 88 metropolitan area networks all over the country, which we manage for the government. We've co-location facilities, we've duct network, we've fibre. We've linked all these back with a 6,500 kilometre fibre run back to the data centres in Dublin, which are still the main hubs. We have built a partnership relationship with EXA Infrastructure. So we have international connectivity using the EXA network. And we've recently just sold a wave into New York from Southern Ireland. So that international access to the markets is really, really important. In addition to that, what we're going to have now is we're going to have decentralized data center development in Ireland. We've just seen now the Echelon break ground in Arklow on the east coast of Ireland, and that is going to require 4 to 5 new fibre runs. And security now, because of the whole security threat and that's now come into the markets in the last 6 months in particular, whatever diversity you had in the past where you had 2 or 4 connections, now you're having 5 and 6 connections. This is all driving growth and further growth. And it works with the whole buy, build, grow policy of Cordiant, which is, come in, we identify the opportunities, we bring them forward. Being a permanent capital vehicle, we can take long-term views on these assets. And they are long-term. Like, there's ducts and fibre in the ground 40, 50 years, and they're still operating perfectly well. So we've got to think about the longevity of these assets, and we can take those long-term views and investments and allow us to invest. But what we have now is a network in Ireland that we're not reliant on the incumbent or third parties for. We can deliver most of this over our own network, which is really critical, and that's how you make money in this market.
Yeah, and what does the next phase of growth look like for Speed Fibre then?
So we've recently announced this year the acquisition of BT Communications Ireland Ltd. So we have bought all of the network and wholesale assets of BT Ireland. BT is retaining their enterprise business in Ireland, and we will be the supplier to that business. So straight away now we have managed to line up one important client straight away for our business. But in addition to that, we're taking on all the existing other wholesale client base. We're also taking on 350 large corporates within that. So this is an exciting growth opportunity for us. The reach we will now have to connected premises. The most expensive part now of bringing in new customers is that dig in the cities. And what BT is bringing to us is another 2,500 to 3,000 connected properties in, key properties in the city of Dublin, where we won't have to pay anybody to get access or pay contractors to build the access to that building. That is worth a huge amount of money in itself to have that type of access. So this is a really exciting development for us. We still have foreign direct investment regulation to overcome in June. Subject to that, we hope to close on the 1st of September, and we see a really exciting period ahead. We've spent months now planning our transition and integration, and I see us going from a really strong second place player already to being a very, butting up against the competitor quite hard now in terms of our offensive sales plans, you know what I mean? And they will be. We're going after the market here now in a bigger way.
And really fitting into your buy, build and grow strategy then, David?
It absolutely does. There's fantastic synergy potential out of this transaction. We're taking the number 3 and the number 2 market players and we're putting them together. It will make Speed Fibre more efficient, way more competitive, and more able to roll out innovative solutions for customers going forwards, at an attractive price. So I think it ticks our boxes very effectively, and we've got, again, a superb management team to manage this transformation. This is a transformational transaction.
Well, I hope you'll keep us updated on any progress. Thank you both very much for coming in today.
No problem. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
That's Cordiant Digital Infrastructure Managing Director David Kippen, Speed Fibre Group CEO Peter McCarthy.